Cheryl, how you doing, Cheryl?
The whole experience to me was absolutely crazy. I was so scared of just looking stupid. I didn't really know the Hollywood scene. I was super new to it.
Cheryl.
I was all of a sudden this fun, outgoing girl, and I think I was like, oh, it's the alcohol. I could definitely be this person that people expect me to be when I drink. And I started going to all of these like red carpet events, and that was on a whole nother anxiety level, I guess you could say, and seeing like paparazzi and cameras in my face, I was like, please, no.
Cheryl,
Hi everyone, so welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I just really wanted to sit down and talk to you guys intimately just today about something that I think a lot of you could relate to, which is being an introvert. So I know that calling myself an introvert just might seem like a surprise or come as a surprise to some people, since most of you probably know me for, being on TV and those flashy costumes or just sitting in front of a camera like right now. But the journey that I've had from being an extremely shy child to, I'd say, a less shy but still totally introverted adult was, a very long one. So I thought I'd talk about this and share some lessons I learned along the way. So let's start from the beginning. So basically, I was born here in the United States. Shout out to the Bay Area, my hometown. But my mom is from the Philippines, and when I was young, she was constantly working 24/7. She just built her business as I was in her stomach in '84. So from the day I was born, she actually found a nanny in the Philippines and hired her. Her name was Ima. She didn't really speak English at all, maybe a little bit, like tiny bit. Two different languages basically just being spoken in our household, right? So we had Ima, who only spoke Tagalog and the Filipino language, and I spoke back to her in English. And I vividly remember that she would watch these three movies: Pretty Woman, the soap show Dynasty, and Sound of Music. That's what it was. I was very quiet, as I would be watching this with her, but it was those three movies just like rotating around. And actually, for most kids, I think I actually didn't speak until a lot later. And my mom thought I had hearing issues, and she eventually brought me to a specialist, and it was because of just like the multiple languages is what he said, which is the reason why I didn't speak so much that was being spoken in our household. So that definitely, now that I see it, definitely makes sense to me as an adult. But I think another factor in my quietness was that, I have always had people just around me that I've been attracting clearly with strong personalities from the beginning, with, my mother and my dad, my real dad, Steve, who was very much the authoritarian type, and my mom came from poverty, came from absolutely nothing, moved to the US, started and grew her own business on her own basically, and she's an extremely strong woman to this day and strong-minded. And I actually became very insecure, I think, and really just lacked confidence being around those types of personalities. Once I was in school, I would always sit in the back of the classroom. That's just who I was. And I didn't really have tons of friends, or not even a lot of friends. I mean, I never raised my hand. I wasn't outspoken. I didn't really think my teachers honestly believed in me that much, except for my second grade teacher, Miss Aswad. She was, I think the first person to really connect with me and appreciate how I was. And I have to say, I think it's honestly because she was probably the same behind closed doors. I was just, all in all, just an extremely insecure kid, and I was always nervous to say the wrong thing and just be embarrassed in class. It was always me hearing like, Cheryl, speak up, like I can't hear you. You got to speak up if you want something. And when we got those, I don't know if you guys remember those hearing and eye tests that you get in grade school, and I found out that my eyesight was terrible. So I had to move, and I didn't have a choice, to the front of the classroom, and that was really scary for me. And I think I would have much rather probably stayed hidden in the back of the class if it were all up to me. So basically, from early on in school, I was always way more interested in arts and sports and my studies. But when I got into ballet class at 4 years old, that was like the only extracurricular activity I never complained about. I was actually really good at other sports like basketball, horseback riding, soccer, but I was just never book smart. And I think it was really more that my lack of confidence just let me believe that I was stupid. So now as an adult though, I have to say I'm so obsessed with studying, doing a million online courses. And I think if I actually went back to school now, I'd be the complete opposite. But because of how I was growing up, I really believe that the way you are raised can really affect whether you are more intro or extroverted. So I think I was inclined to be an introvert, but certain traumas in my life, along with, the language confusion and the strong personalities of both my parents, pushed, me even more in that direction and made me just extremely shy and insecure, on top of being just naturally introverted. I was always really, I guess you could say, aware, or maybe even focused is a better way to say it, on how others perceived me. I remember my mom made me sign up for school plays, which of course involved those traumatic, for me now still, auditions. Even when I thought I was doing great, I was always told that I didn't project or talk from my diaphragm. So it was kind of traumatizing to always lose out on those roles that I really wanted. And I was always just ended up being an extra, or just in the background as usual. So I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, like, how the hell did you go from being this shy, insecure little girl to a teenage ballroom dancer? Like, I mean, we're in these skimpy ass costumes out on the ballroom floor, dancing with men who, in my case at least, were way older than me. And it just really seemed so confident, especially for me. I was so quiet in every other aspect of my life that dance was really just, my way of expressing myself, and it still is to this day. So like I said, I started at 4 and did ballet for a while, but I eventually left ballet and I started ballroom because I, first of all, grew out of my pink tights and I was really bored with it. And really, the idea of being on stage with all eyes on me, like ballet, that's exactly what you'd be doing, a solo, really scared the crap out of me. And the funny thing is, though, is that my ballroom teachers, still to this day, whenever I run into them at a dance competition, they tell me that I just dragged my feet into the dance studio, and it looked like I didn't want to be there because I was constantly rolling my eyes. And as soon as I walk out onto that competition floor with costume and makeup, it's like I'm an alter ego and I turn into this crazy performer. But make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, because I really do have so many videos about that specific time in my life, with all the throwback footage you can possibly think of. Even just being shy, it was always fine for me to dance with men. I guess I had a harder time making eye contact with the actual audience sitting around us and the judges than with my partner. And I actually believe that ballroom, especially ballroom, it takes two, right? It takes two to tango, and I've always said this, you don't perform for the audience comes in and looks into your story. So, and for me at least, focusing on the partnership rather than just myself solo on this beautiful, huge stage, wondering what people are thinking about me, I didn't feel like I was just like ready to be in that type of spotlight. And another thing, just to keep in mind is that the ballroom world is totally a man's world, 100%, and it's all about the man leads, the girl follows, going hand in hand. So my shy personality totally fit into that and let me hide behind the curtain. And the idea of dancing alone is just still, like, to this day, intimidating. For example, I did a solo number for the first round of Love on the Floor, my live stage show that was performed in Japan. And if you haven't seen it, please, I put a link up below so that you guys can check that out. But anyways, when we were rehearsing, I almost pulled the number from the show completely because I had never danced alone like I did on that stage. And I actually did pull it out of the LOTF second round because it was just too terrifying. The anxiety just wasn't worth it for me. And when I'm dancing, I just really feel the feeling of the music. I guess I get lost in the music, as they say. And even now, I love just driving alone and listening to music. And that's how I have always connected to my real emotions. And dance is really like a therapeutic experience for me. It was like therapy. If I wasn't dancing, I don't know if I ever would have been able to become the much stronger and confident person you may see today. So, the next level of evolving my introvertedness was being cast on Dancing with the Stars. So basically, long story short, one of the producers saw me dancing in LA while they were scouting for more professional dancers after the very first season of Dancing with the Stars. My partner at the time, his name was Jose, ended up being my last competitive partner before I retired, kind of. When I got the call, I just thought to myself that they probably would want Jose as well. Like, I never imagined I would do it without him. I was completely terrified for this audition because it was an audition and they called it an interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to them.
My name is Cheryl Burke. I'm a professional Latin dancer, and I bring a lot of energy and wild and sexy moves on the dance floor.
Like, I can't do this. I was terrified about the idea of having to teach as well because I just turned professional. So basically, long story short, they came to Harlem. I put on that pink bright fringe costume and I had my new hairdo, that short bob. Anyway, one of the producers, Michael Brooks, was interviewing me from Dancing with the Stars, and he kept telling me to just speak louder, Cheryl, and repeat the question in my answer with this Aussie accent. And my voice at this time was super different than it is now. I mean, it was really high-pitched, mousy, I would say, my whole life.
To my high school friends, wasn't that a great grad night party we had last night? And to my dance friends, here's a continuation of a series of hardcore partying we had in Blackpool a couple of weeks ago.
And it was just funny to look back and see how just with gaining confidence, my whole entire voice has changed completely. And as soon as I left, I was like, there's just no way that these people are gonna call me, which is fine. I just turned pro with my partner, and you know, of course, they did end up calling me, and cut to, I'm here, I'm moving to Hollywood, and I literally land at LAX. I get in my rental car and go straight to my first partner's house, Drew Lachey's house, and right away we're on camera, right? So I had to ask him things like, do you have any dance experience, blah, blah, blah. The whole experience to me was absolutely crazy. I was so scared of just looking stupid and having to reenact moments for the show and look like I'm enthusiastic. And I think a lot of people thought I was super bitchy because I was really shy and quiet. We would go out at night and drink, and you know, this was the first time that we can cut in front of the line. This was like a whole new world for us. And you know, this was really my first time drinking altogether. I was only 21 at the time when I first moved here, and I knew, like, I didn't really know the Hollywood scene. I was super new to it, and you know, I was all of a sudden this fun, outgoing girl, and you know, it was really addicting. And I think I was like, oh, it's the alcohol. I could definitely be this person that people expect me to be when I drink. And you know, this is something that I just love to do. I love to go out. This is my first time actually making friends and being outgoing. And sometimes, you know, dance was the only thing that I felt like I could do sober because it really just let me communicate without words. And before anything else, a manager, an agent, etc., I hired a publicist, and I started going to all of these like red carpet events. And that was on a whole nother anxiety level, I guess you could say, and seeing like paparazzi and cameras in my face, I was like, please, no. You know, I have to have a drink, and in order especially to be in front of all these people, do press and do everything I hate, interviews. And you know, when I started doing things by myself, like when I was promoting my book, let's say, and doing these interviews with like Piers Morgan and Ellen DeGeneres on my own without my partner, it was really intimidating. Along the way, I settled down with the partying, obviously, and started to come into my own, being just comfortable with my personality without having alcohol involved. But I have to say, it was definitely a challenge for me. I mean, if you're fans of the show Dancing with the Stars, you probably saw that huge transformation since I've basically grown up before your eyes. And that's why I wanted to share my story uncensored with all of you guys. And I think some of the best artists in the world are those who are introverted. And you just can't let your thoughts control who you are. And you know, I had a belief system that my opinions were just not valuable and no one would care. I mean, I think a lot of artists are also super insecure like I was, but it's really just important just to break free of that mentality and not let it hold you back. My mom always talks about being humble. And I think, you know, her voice is always in my ear in that way. But I learned that you don't need to be, you know, sitting in the back or in the background to be humble. You can be in the front and show, you know, the world what you do. You don't need to dumb yourself down, I guess you can say. Just know the difference between being confident and cocky. So who says that just like being enthusiastic means you have to have a loud voice? Just be yourself. You know, it's really just the best advice I can really give anybody. And it's funny because I have to say most of my friends today are actually extroverts, but I think that they can help, you know, bring out your outgoing side in a healthy way, I guess you can say. So, you know, when I'm in social settings or have to be on camera, I get exhausted, like time to take a nap exhausted right after that's over. And I feel like I got hit by a truck and I definitely need to either go to sleep and call it a night or just take a nap. And, you know, I really do prefer still to this day being home. And a big change that I let myself feel is is that, you know, situations like this that are exhausting for me, and I think it's really important just to, I guess, honor yourself and know what your limits are. Like, what situations help you bring out your best self, and that's what's really important. So that's really what I wanted to share with you guys, and I just hope it helped all you fellow introverts, because I know there's so many out there in some way. I wanted you guys to know that just because you're introverted, it doesn't mean that you can't also be confident and live your dreams. You definitely can do both, because I'm living proof of it. So I'd love just to hear your guys' comments below. I would love hearing from all of you guys. I would love to hear your stories and how you relate to any story that I've posted so far here onto my channel. And as usual, please like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for more videos coming every single week from yours truly. As always, sending you all so much love and light. Bye.